What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we have huge Blazing Vortex news. We have like a ton of support for the whole Dogmatika Tri-Brigade lore, including a new archetype, a third archetype adding to that lore, which is really awesome. As well as 2 more cards for Tri-Brigade, and I think 2 more cards for Dogmatika as well. So just a lot going on here. I'm really excited to get into these because this lore has been like my favorite thing. Like World Legacy was cool, but it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. But this one is just straight up like fantasy, like Star Wars now. You got the robots, you have like the specific tribe of native creatures, you've got like the holy knights, and I love where this lore is going. It gives me like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings kind of vibes. The way it's going, it has some futuristic aspects, but also it has like that like classic fantasy vibe going on as well. So I cannot wait to dive in. Let's just jump into this thing and look at our new archetype, starting off with Spriggans Rocky. Okay, that's hold on, let me bring this up. So Spriggans Rocky, I believe, is this guy all the way on the left. He's a level 4 fire machine. There all seem to be fire machines with 1800 attack, 800 defense. Pretty good. That's a beater. And he has 2 hard once return effects. The first effect reads: if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target a Spriggans monster or a vast desert Golganda, Jesus, in your graveyard, except for itself, and add it to your hand. Okay, so on summon, you're just getting something back from the grave. That's not half bad. And the second effect says if this card is in your hand, field, or graveyard, you can target one Spriggans Exceed monster you control and attach it to it as material. So that's kind of nice. You just kind of get to decide how this card gets used, potentially as material. That would have been really cool if it was a quick effect, kind of like Zodiac Whiptail. That would have been really cool if they all had that as like a quick effect to just boom from hand, field, or graveyard at any point, just jump onto an Exceed monster for extra material. But still not a bad effect nonetheless. Still seems like a pretty decent card. Next up here we have Spriggans Pede, I don't know. He's like this kind of mechanical bull almost looking guy. Pretty cool. Fire machine with 0 attack, 2000 defense. And he has 2 hard once per turn effects. First effect reads: you contribute this card, then target a Spriggans monster in your graveyard except for itself and special summon it. Okay, so once you have Spriggans in the graveyard, he can kind of just trade himself for one of them, which is not bad, which would include like the boss monster. Kind of cool. So later in the game, this guy becomes much better. And the second effect says if this card is in your hand, field, or graveyard, you can target a Spriggans Exceed you control and attach him to it as material. So again, they all seem to want to be able to just jump onto a monster as material if you want. And then the last one we have here is Spriggans Banger as far as the main deck monsters go. So this big kind of, I don't know, ship looking guy. He still has a little face up there, it looks like. Yeah, look, he's still got a little face up here. And he has all these cannons. All right, okay, I'm still here for it. Fire machine, 500 attack, 2500 defense. So big booty, small attack with 2 hard ones per turn effects. If this card is in your hand, field, or graveyard, you can target a Spriggans Exceed you control and attach him to it as material. Same thing we've been seeing, nothing too crazy there. And the second effect reads: you can banish both this card and one Spriggans monster from your graveyard, except for itself, and add one Spriggans card from your deck to your hand. Okay, I like that. Kind of like a combo piece. Get this and any other Spriggans engrave, and then you're banishing them to then get a free Spriggans card at some point. That definitely helps you with grindability. It helps you with utility, just searching out other Spriggans cards. I like that it's any Spriggans card, not just like monsters or spells or traps, so definitely more versatility there. This guy seems pretty good as well. The other thing I would say is he does not seem to be able to jump onto the field at all. I mean, he is a level 8 fire, and he doesn't really get on the field by himself, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. But I think overall, not too bad here. I wouldn't say anything's crazy, but I wouldn't say anything's terrible so far. All right, which takes us to our next phase here, these next 3 cards, which are going to be, starting off with Spriggans Captain Sargus. That's this guy right here. Again, dope artwork. He gives me like some, almost like some oh, what's his name? Infinity Gauntlet guy from Marvel Universe. I'm not even a big Marvel guy, but like he kind of looks like gives those vibe, but like made of metal. But obviously he's a fire machine. He has 1500 attack, 2800 defensive. This is a main deck boss monster, only 1500 attack, which is interesting. But he has two hard ones return, or two hard ones return effects, and then a third effect as well. If this card is in your hand, field, or graveyard, you could target a Spriggans Exceed and attach him to it. Great, works for me. Second effect, during your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you could attach one Exceed material from a monster you control, then target a face-up card on the field and destroy it. Okay, and the third effect reads, a Spriggans Exceed monster with this card as material gains 500 attack. Okay, so the third effect is like just a nice little bonus, icing on the cake, get a little tiny buff at the end. And then obviously the first effect is standard for them, just can kind of equip itself to monster. But the second effect is really what's interesting to me. Once he's on field with another Exceed, he then becomes a Dryden, essentially, which is pretty cool. It does cost a material from that monster, but most Exceed monsters only make use of one material a turn anyway. Plus, these guys all equip from grave, so after you've already like used them as part of a combo, they can already like equip back, so not too worried on that. I think this is fine. I think this is a pretty cool card. All things considered, and keep in mind, we've seen literally zero restrictions so far in this archetype. So there's nothing that says like, oh, you're locked into Exceeds, oh, you're locked into Spriggans monsters. So keep in mind, you could be making generic rank 4s, generic rank 8s if you want. You know, Baguska, Abyss Dweller, stuff like that, and totally be fine. So that's kind of cool. I think he works. He definitely starts us off with a little bit of disruption, which is what you need in every archetype. So that's cool to see. Moving on, though, we have Spriggans Ship X Blower. That's this card. Oh, okay. This guy. So the big ship here. It does still have a face and hands. So that's kind of cool. I like that they all are like living creatures. All right. So he's a rank 8 fire machine Exceed effect monster, of course. 1600 attack. So I guess that makes more sense for the 500 buff. Just because this thing's already pretty small. 2500 defense. It takes any 2 level 8 monsters, interesting to note, and he has 2 hard ones per turn effects. The first one reads, you can choose one monster zone or spell and trap zone on your opponent's field as cost. Detach any number of materials from this card, and if you do, destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of materials you detached in that chosen zone, or monster zones, and or spell and trap zones to the top, bottom, or adjacent zones during your opponent's main phase or battle phase. Oh, sorry, that's the next one. During your opponent's main phase or battle phase, as a quick effect, you can banish this card till the end phase. Okay, kind of a lot going on there. So pretty much I think to kind of make this seem a little bit more simple, you're starting his effect by targeting one zone on your opponent's field, whether it's a monster zone or a spell or trap zone. Then, depending on the number of materials you attach, you're going to be able to pop anything that like that card is like touching, whether it's above, below, left, or right. You get to pop the card that's in that zone and multiple cards next to that zone, depending on how many materials you want to attach. So it really depends on your opponent's zone placement, but you could easily be popping 2 to 3 cards here. You know, all things considered. So that's kind of cool. I think that's definitely an interesting effect. It does not technically target any of the cards you're destroying. It just targets that one zone, which is interesting. So definitely an interesting effect there. I like that. I wish it would have been a quick effect because, again, like we want disruption, but still not a bad removal effect. Mass removal is always pretty good. And then the other effect is also pretty cool, allowing him to tag out. So should you do something like activate this effect to wipe the board and your opponent chains Veiler, Impermanence, you can then chain his second effect to tag out. Oh no, it's actually only during your opponent's main phase or battle phase. Okay, so never mind. This is just during your opponent's turn. I was thinking it was during either player's turn. It's only during your opponent's turn, main or battle phase, but you can still just tag him out if you want to guarantee you keep him as a body until next turn, because all the materials are so easy to just be like attach. As soon as he comes back, you just kind of keep recurring him, keep clearing your opponent's field, keep getting those materials back all the time, and then, you know, you're good to go. So kind of a cool card, definitely. Like I said, I would love this first effect to be a quick effect, but it is what it is. Next up, we have Spriggans Watch. This is our spell card here. It's watching, looks like, who is this girl? Is this Ecclesia and Albaz? It kind of looks like, unless this is a girl, unless that's not Ecclesia, and that's a new girl that we haven't seen yet. We'll see in the future, obviously. Okay, cool. It's a normal spell card that you can only activate once per turn. This card reads, you can either add one Vast Desert Gold Golgonda from your deck to your hand, but if you already control Vast Desert of Gold Golgonda in your field zone, you can apply this effect instead, which adds a Spriggans monster from your deck to the hand and send a Spriggan monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is both pretty good because they equip from grave, so they are a resource in the graveyard. So it's a search and a dump, which is pretty damn good. I think this is really nice. It's like, obviously, you don't love a card that only searches one card, but at least if you already have access to that one card, you're then able to like get more versatile with what you're searching, which is pretty cool. So I think it's a good card. It's probably a 3 of in the deck just to get you going, you know, starter card, which then takes us to our next set of cards, 3 more cards. All right. So obviously we have the Vast Desert Gold Golgonda. This card right here is just literally like a desert. Interesting. It's a field spell, and you can only use its second and third effects once per turn each. The first effect reads, Spriggans Exceed monsters on the field always gain 1,000 attack. Okay, that definitely helps. Our 1 Exceed monster so far, you know, goes from 16 to 26, and then if you have the other guy's material, 31, which is pretty legit. Second effect reads, if you do not control a Spriggans Exceed monster, you can discard a Spriggans card to special summon a Spriggans Exceed monster from your extra deck. Now, this is pretty cool because, as we've been highlighted time and time again, all the Spriggans cards just equip from hand, field, or graveyard. So you discard one to summon the Exceed, then you just equip the monster that you just discarded, and now you're going to town. Again, no restrictions on this card. This does not lock you into Exceed monsters. This does not lock you into Spriggans, lock you into Fire Machines, nothing. So you could just do this just to put a body on field and link it off or whatever if you want. It's up to you. But it's really, really cool, and they just attach, getting you the material so that he can then use his effect to start clearing the board and stuff, which is pretty nice. And the third effect reads, if a face-up Exceed monster you control leaves the field by a card effect, that's any Exceed monster, you can target one monster your opponent controls and it cannot attack for the rest of the turn. I would have liked it more if this third effect was some kind of disruption, like target a monster your opponent controls and either negate its effects or destroy it, send it, banish it, bounce it, whatever. I would have liked to see something like that, but I guess the it can't attack thing is fine because it means that your opponent's trying to push heavy damage on you. Not only can you tag out your Exceed guy, but you also get to neutralize one of your opponent's attacks, which most often will put them in a position where they won't be able to OTK you at least, and then you get your guy back, and then you wipe 3 monsters off the board. Like, I guess that's kind of the idea here. So still a great card altogether, it seems. Definitely like this, just dropping a Spriggans Exceed. Hopefully we'll get more Spriggans Exceeds in the future. Just this one is probably not enough, but you know, based on how this has been going, all this support, we'll probably get more going forward, which takes us to Spriggans Call. This is a normal trap card. You can only use this first and second effects once per turn each. Target one Spriggans monster or Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard and special summon it. Okay, so again, a weird like effect that like has synergy with Fallen of Albaz, but just like a call in Archetype Call the Haunted, it is searchable. Not a bad effect for sure. And the second effect reads, during either player's turn except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card and one fusion monster from your graveyard. Then target a Spriggans Exceed monster you control and attach a fusion monster that lists Fallen of Albaz as a fusion material from your extra deck to that target as material. Okay, so a lot going on there, but essentially the second effect's kind of just a quick effect where you can you have to banish this and a fusion in graveyard, which is interesting because this deck doesn't seem to particularly want to fusion summon, but you might be combining it with a fusion monster. I think we actually have another fusion monster down below. Yeah, we do. Okay, so I'm thinking that one's going to work in here. Banish this and that to equip another one, and then that one will give you further resources down the line. Pretty cool. I mean, it's already just like a Call to Haunted, but then doubles as like an extra resource as well. It's pretty cool. I'm definitely about it. Definitely a solid card there. And then we have Spriggans Blast, which looks like the last like actual Spriggan card here. You can only activate this card with its name once per turn. It's a normal trap. If you control a Spriggans monster, choose one main monster zone on your opponent's field. If there is a face-up monster in that zone, it cannot attack directly, and its effects are negated until the end of this turn. So I'm if there's a face. Okay, cool. So just target it. Weird. Again, it targets a zone. It only targets a main monster zone though, not an extra. So Boral Sword, still scary. An access code. And if there is no monster in that zone, it cannot be used for the rest of the turn. And if you control a fusion, which lists Fallen of Albaz's fusion material, you can choose 2 zones instead of 1. So you could get a double negate and a double, like, you can't attack going on there. Definitely interesting. I would have liked to see, I mean, it would have been nasty if you could target any zone, because then you could even just target, like, both extra monster zones and say, you don't get to summon from the extra deck. But it is what it is. I still think it's a fine card. It's kind of like an in-archetype just negate card. I think it's fine. I don't think it's like breaking the mold, breaking the bank or anything. It's a fine card. It is, again, searchable, so it's a searchable disruption for them. But I'm not seeing anything too overly overwhelming as far as disruption, so that'll definitely be a question going forward. But this definitely seems like almost like Tri-Brigade. It's a nice start to the archetype, but not like fully delved out. So yeah, let's keep going. We're already running long on time here. We've got TriBrigade Rendezvous. This is a quick play spell. TriBrigade back. You can only use this card's first and second effects once per turn each. Target any number of linked Beast Warrior, Wing Beast monsters you control, and they each gain 700 attack until the end of the turn. Okay. The second effect, if a linked Beast Warrior, Wing Beast monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard instead. That's a little bit nicer, but unfortunately, like, for a card like this to be legitimately good in a strategy, like, you need the first effect to do something, and then the second effect to be the bonus. The second effect is, like, carrying the card, but I don't think the first effect does, like, nearly enough to actually make this card worth playing. Like, I think of a card like, Zephyra Providence. Like, it's literally like a Rhoda card that then becomes protection for every Zephyr card. Like, if this was a search card like that or something, just did something for you, it'd be way better. But unfortunately, I think it's going to fall short just because it the first effect just doesn't do anything. So yeah, tough. And then next up, we have a new Tri-Brigade monster, Tri-Brigade Kit. It's a level 2 fire beast effect monster, 700 attack, 1000 defense. You can only use this card's first and second effects once per turn. The first effect is basic Tri-Brigade stuff. Banish Beast Warriors or Wing Beast from grave to special summon a link. That's Beast Warrior or Wing Beast with the same link rating as the number of monsters you banished. And then it locks you into only being able to use those types of monsters as link materials for the rest of the turn. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send a Tri-Brigade card from your deck to the graveyard except Tri-Brigade Kit. That's kind of nice consistency because we obviously know Tri-Brigade Naval is another card that when he's sent, he just searches you any Tri-Brigade is it card or monster? But either way, you send her, then she sends him, and then he searches you another one, and you also just put 2 Beast Warriors / Wing Beasts in the grave to set you up for those high link summons. So she's definitely a welcome addition to the archetype. Definitely, you want this. You definitely wanted Tri-Brigades that helped you just stack extra monsters in the graveyard to make these link summons. And yeah, she's definitely welcome. So definitely cool there. Then moving us on to our final 2 cards. Oh, also, if you want to see the art, here's this. These are like, it's like Albaz and whoever this girl is. Is it really Ecclesia? I don't think that's Ecclesia. We just don't even have this card yet, I don't think. They're like captured by the Spriggans, it looks like. Like, you can see all their faces around here. That's kind of cool. I like that artwork for sure. And then you also have her, so she's cute. And she has this little metal bird guy. It looks like she built... Oh, she's like the mechanic style. I see. Very cool. And then we finish up here with 2 more cards. We have Splind the Steel Express Dragon. That's this guy right here. Definitely looks dope. Again, driven by Fallen of Albaz and whoever this girl is. Going back to her. He is a level 8 Dark Machine fusion effect monster with 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. Its materials are Fallen of Albaz plus an effect monster that was special summoned this turn, so very generic, especially with that Monster Reborn card or the Call of the Haunted card. You could reborn Albaz on your opponent's turn to then do that kind of super poly effect on a monster that was just special summon that turn and then get to this guy. It's pretty cool. He has 2 hard ones per turn effects. First effect reads, during your main phase, you can move this card to another main monster zone on your field. Then you can destroy all other face-up cards in this card's current column. I would have liked if it could destroy all cards in the column. That way you could still hit like set back row with it. But I'm not complaining. You still could potentially wipe a monster in the extra monster zone, a face-up speller trap, and a monster in the main monster zone. Potentially, but so still pretty good overall. It's like a pseudo like Tiamat. And then the second effect reads, during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you could take a Spriggans monster or a Fallen of Albaz from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it. So again, that's also very cool, giving that same effect that essentially what is this name? The Ash Dragon has. Instead of Dogmatika, though, you're able to search Spriggans cards, which is pretty cool, just giving you follow-up plays and extensions there during the end phase. So like the other card does, where it can just like equip this guy, detach him as material next turn, and on the end phase, you get a free resource. Kind of nice. Or you could quick effect detach, not even detached, use the effect of that Exceed to just quick banish itself, which sends all the materials to grave, which would then get the search on that end phase, which is pretty quick and nice, and that'd be faster that way. So cool card, definitely needed for this archetype to combine with certain things. And then we have Dogmatika Genesis. The last card here is a normal trap card for Dogmatika. You can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. This effect reads, target 1 banished, fusion, synchro, exceed, or link monster. And 1 effect monster your opponent controls that is the same card type, fusion, synchro, exceed, or link. Return the banished monster to your extra deck, or the extra deck, it's any banished one. And if it does, negate the effect of that opponent's monster. I mean, like it works. The question you'll have with this card is definitely going to be, can you get set up? Do you play the right cards like in your extra deck? And maybe that's like a meta thing. You'll build this card specifically for the meta as you play specifically synchros, exceeds, or links, depending on what's like the most popular in the meta right now. Then you banish that somehow, send it to your grave, banish it, and then you'd be able to disrupt your opponent with this. Honestly, for like the setup that this requires, I'm kind of surprised that it doesn't do more. It just negates a monster effect, where it kind of would make more sense if this like negated and destroyed, or not even negated and destroyed, like non-targeting. Well, I guess it would have to target, but banish, just like banish, just gone, to make more sense. And it would set up for like a future copy of this card if you wanted to use it, because then you'd have banished a fusion. And if you're playing against like Shadalls, they're going to go back into a fusion, and then this card's guaranteed online for the rest of the duel if you were going to use another copy. So interesting card. I don't think it's bad. It just takes some setup, which is definitely interesting. I'm just not sure if it's going to be worth the setup, worth the trouble, worth what you're playing, because it kind of seems like it could easily work versus fusions and maybe even exceeds, but the other ones are a little bit tough. And how are you getting them banished? Like, definitely interesting. I guess it combines with Tri-Brigade. You banish your links. You could banish a link engrave to then set up for the Tri-Brigade monster, and then use this to just banish negate a link monster when it's made. That works, I guess. I don't know. Interesting card, though. And that does round us out here. All right, that's it. We got a ton of cards, guys. We have, 4, 7, 10, 13 cards here. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, what do you think of these new cards? What do you think of this new volley of support? What do you think of the new Spriggans cards? What do you think of the 2 new Tri-Brigades, the new Fusion, the new Dogmatika card? How does it all fit together? Do they even fit together? And who's this girl? Like, you see, we're seeing in this artwork now, like, the Fallen of Albaz is, like, running around with this girl, and I don't think we've seen her yet, because I don't think she's Ecclesia. So hopefully we'll get her soon. Maybe this set, maybe the next set. I don't know. We'll see. But that's going to do it for me here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I know this video ran super long, but this is a super deep, more deeper, like, lore archetype, and I wanted to go kind of in depth with the card reveals. So thank you so much for watching, and if you lasted this long, subscribe to the channel, because I'm making these kinds of videos pretty much every time new cards are revealed like this. So huge, right? So thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.